I work for Richmond Realty. We are self-employed real estate business. We work for RE/MAX, and I jumped ship from the financial world. I was in banking before.
Welcome to the Woodlands Area Chamber of Commerce Young Professional Network podcast, a show where we discuss topics related to business, lifestyle, politics, and other challenges that young professionals are facing. We want our millennials and Gen Z to strengthen today for your impact on tomorrow.
Hey there, welcome to episode 3 of the Young Professional Network, the Woodlands Chamber podcast. We're super excited about our episode today. My name is David DeVoe with DeVoe Financial. I'm one of the hosts.
And my name is Cameron Cruz with 5 Point Credit Union.
And my name is Zach Richmond, and I'm not one of the hosts, but I'm here as the guest, so thank you guys for having me.
Hey, we're so excited to have you here. So today's topic, what we're going to be discussing, is transitioning from the corporate world into entrepreneurship. So I think, Zach, you know a little bit about that.
Yeah,
so
very little. So thanks for having me on. I can't wait to tell you.
This is going to be our shortest episode ever. It's really great.
It'll be fun.
I think the outro is going to happen in about 3 minutes. So, Zach, let's just get that story started. This is going to be good. So actually, let's go ahead and get started there. If you just want to go ahead and give us a little background on your personal transition.
Gosh. Okay, so I work for Richmond Realty. We are self-employed real estate business. We work for RE/MAX, and I jumped ship from the financial world. I was in banking before. Ooh. I know. I was a commercial real estate lender turned, I went through the 12-step addiction program. I'm clean. I'm not a banker anymore, and I've moved on to something even worse, residential real estate. So happy to be a part of it. Yeah, one addiction for the other. No, but it's good. So, the transition from the corporate world to self-employed is completely different. So I don't know. You guys you're kind of in the corporate world. You're self-employed now. Mm-hmm. When you're working in the corporate world, it's always the fantasy to like jump ship and just be like, all right, I can do this on my own. Like, I got this. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, I went from working 40 hours a week with benefits to working 90 hours a week with no benefits 7 days a week. So, it's scary, right? I mean, you wake up the next day and you're unemployed. But, you're doing it for yourself, though, so it's, seems cool.
Yeah.
But eventually the butterflies fall off. And so the biggest thing that you need to do if you're transitioning from corporate to self-employed is to make sure you're ready for it. And nobody's ever truly ready, but when I say ready for it, all right, talk to the spouse or your significant other, have finances in order, because the second you quit, you don't have any money coming in. And just because you start up a business doesn't mean people are going to rush to your door to start working with you. So you need to make sure you have enough reserves, have that conversation with your partner. But the main thing too is you just need to have this unyielding confidence in yourself, because let me tell you, if you thought your friends and family were close to you, wait till you open up a business and you'll realize how much they do not care about you and they do not trust you.
Yikes.
No, but I mean, when you think about it, it's like, all right, when you jump ship, okay, so I was known as a banker.
Right.
You're known as a banker. And if you jump ship, they're like, okay, well, I know you're really good at banking.
But are you good at that?
Yeah,
right.
But are you good at tax accounting? Are you good at operations of, manufacturing? Are you good at selling real estate? Typically it's not just something you just jump off and say, all right, hoorah. I think you went to finance from finance. So that's a little easier.
No. I was a college dance professor up at Sam Houston.
Okay.
So I went from being an artist and an educator in higher ed to a financial advisor.
So it's like,
so I completely understand what you're talking about.
So it's like, I know you can put on the best dang play that Montgomery County and, Huntsville, Walker County, all that can see, but can you handle my money to make sure I can retire properly? Oh, yeah. That is one thing that nobody talks about, and you really have to have thick skin for it. I mean, it's like, my family didn't send me anything for a year and a half. They're like, we don't even know if you're gonna make it past 2 weeks, let alone become a successful entity. And they don't want to ruin their friend's friendship,
right?
Because it's an extension of them, right? David, thank you. You're one of my best friends. How about you work with my best friend for 50 years and help them out? Okay, you lost all their money for him?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, they don't talk to me anymore now. Decade. That's what. But so there's a lot to think about. It's not just okay, I've got this great idea, I'm going to make it happen. You have to be financially prepared. You have to make sure your other partner's with you, because that is the truest form of support. Right. And you also have to make sure, that you really have that push through, because once you get around to it, like you'll get to. I think Simon Sinek, he talked about it, and there's like this natural curve of early adopters, middle adopters, and once you've been established. And it was like 13% of the people are going to work with you. Then after that, like once you prove yourself for a little bit, then the next 13%. Then after you make it past that hump, then you have 26% more potential markets there. So you, in a 4 to 5 year period, you go from like very little people knowing what you do to now having half of the people that you talk to trust and believe what you do. So two totally different things versus corporate world. Typically they're entities, they're established, they have reputation behind them, all that stuff. So that's the 3 biggest things whenever you're talking about transitioning. So this is a great one. Thank you all so much for coming. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's a wrap. No, I have a follow-up question because something about you were talking about your spouse, your partner, whoever you're in a relationship with, having to be on board with this.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about where you were either in your relationship, and then also what was your spouse doing at that time? Because I know that totally affects everything, whether your spouse is maybe a stay-at-home person, maybe they don't even have a job, maybe they're in the corporate world. Yeah. Are you going to survive off of them? Like, what was that conversation like and that transition like for you?
So mine may be a little unique because I literally have the best person you could ever have in your corner.
Aww. She's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. If you've met Rachel, I helped make her everything she is, so don't give her too much credit.
Whoa. Don't worry, we're going to edit that out.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, she literally has the patience of Job, and I say like the unyielding caveat, but like honestly, we're very strong Christians, and so that is where the unyielding confidence, knowing that like whatever happens, it's God's plan. She literally rolled into everything saying, "Hey, I support you. I love you. If this doesn't work out, we'll figure it out."
Right.
So that's a little different because she was actually coming out of college. She played collegiate golf, and I was the sole income source. And the day she got a job, I said, "Okay, I'm ready to quit." And so we went.
Going.
Yeah, right.
Talk about transitioning.
we went from dropping income. We went from her transitioning out of college to work, and it was like, I couldn't do it if she was not like if she didn't have a job or if she was still like finishing up her master's, because then we go from having one income to zero.
Right.
So the fortunate thing is like for that conversation was super easy. Like it didn't take long. It was more just after that started prepping for setting aside reserves, like taking back on trips and like meals of nice date nights and stuff like that. And, it's not hard, but we figured out like we cooked a lot more. We tried to be Emeril Lagasse and just we found other ways to do dates than what we were normally used to. And that kind of helped ease that like, all right, let's park money aside sort of deal.
So what you're saying is you like made a plan and made practical changes in your life.
Yeah.
And then just flip, be like, YOLO, I'm out, I'm leaving, peace out, I'll figure it out, it's going to be great.
And so like I was also the insurance too.
Right. Oh, that's a huge one. Talk about that for
sure. Now we're both self-employed now, so she's jumped ship from her job that she had. And so now we're paying like too much money for insurance that we barely even use. But you got to have it. But anyway, so we didn't tell people this, but we actually got married at the courthouse so I could have insurance when I quit. But we didn't tell people for 5 years. So we were married for 5 years before people actually knew.
Wow.
So,
that's another
that's a little bit of support, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say.
You have to. So was this always the plan? So you were in the financial banking world. Did you sit back at your desk one day and was like, I'm over this? Or was it always in your plan?
No, actually, it's so funny you say that. I get asked that all the time. It was not.
Okay.
Actually, I worked at Woodforest Bank, and I love the people there, still love the people there, and I actually never thought about quitting.
Okay.
It was so much fun. Like, the culture is fantastic, which that's the number one thing. We can get into that after this, so have a follow-up for that, because that is what about sustainability is. Yeah. But, like, the people are amazing. But I had a boss that was about to retire, and I asked him. He was, like, the most brilliant man. He was my mentor for 5 years. And I was like, I don't want to say his name, just, I don't know. And anyway, so like he came to me, or I went to him and I was like, you're the most brilliant man I've ever met. Like, you could have been a CFO at a Fortune 500 company. You could have been a CEO of a small company. Why didn't you do it? And he said, well, Zach, that just kind of gets to that point where your salary's too good. Your benefits are too good. You have kids. You have to start planning for college. Maybe you're the sole income, so you need to have that income. It's like you kind of get to this point in your life where you don't have that ability to make the jump. And I was like, after I saw that, you could kind of tell like he had this like, I guess like this always in the back of his mind, like he never gave it the shot sort of deal. And like, he didn't have any regrets, but that's like kind of one that would have creeped up, I'm sure. Like he never put all of his chips on the table and said, let's see if I can or cannot.
Right.
So after that, I decided, all right, whenever I hit 5 years with the company, I'm going to leave and I'm going to do this. And if it doesn't work out, hopefully I've left a good like relationship with the people I left that maybe if it doesn't work out, I can come back and work for them again. Because the thing, you don't come out, you don't leave your job and say, forget you.
But I want to come back.
Yeah, because you don't know. Maybe it doesn't work out. I mean, we were fortunate that it's working out so far, but I mean, it could end tomorrow. Who knows? The real estate market could go to pot. Nobody's buying a house.
Right.
And what do we do? Like, I'm going to have to look for another job. And that's the reality of being a small business owner. It could end tomorrow. But it's just, that's right there when I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And if it doesn't work out, okay, cool. I'll find something else to do. But at least at the end of the day, when I'm raising my kids, talking to friends, I gave it a shot.
Right.
And maybe I did it wrong and I didn't have enough experience, whatever. But at least I put it on the table and said I did it.
That's amazing. So Zach, you talked about having the support of that close either spouse or partner or whoever. Can you also talk about, like, was it just you? Like, you're like, hey, I'm going to go out, I'm forging my path alone? Or did you have a support system? Did you have a group of people? Like, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, we
just imagine you just with a machete walking through the forest. It's like, I got your war paint on. I'm going to take over real estate. It's just me.
This is actually one of my favorite stories, too, that we always tell about my dad. So when I first started, I did work I worked with a team for 3 months, but I was like, this isn't working out. I want to do something on my own. I feel like I want to run it a little differently. So I told my dad, I was like, hey, Dad, all right, 3 months in, haven't closed anything. I'm going to start at my own shop, right?
Because that makes so much sense.
But I believe it.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's a horrible idea. He was like, that is terrible. Like, do not do that. And I was like, well, what I didn't tell you is I talked to my mother-in-law who worked in real estate up in Dallas that knows operation business. And he was like, okay, all right, that may work. But like I left it out there. I left the carrots. So I knew he was going to say it's terrible. I mean, like, look,
absolutely.
Hear it out loud. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, haven't done any production. I'm like, I'm going to do this on my own.
I can't do it with a whole team, so obviously
I'll do it
by myself
myself.
it's going to be way better.
So I know the area. So my background is accounting and sales, right? And so I know I'm not a detailed person. I'm not organized. Right, like Chaz asked me to come here at 2:00. I got here at 2:10. I thought that was magical, right? Like I'm not punctual. So, in your high service industry, like you got to be on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like any little detail can railroad any or steamroll or whatever T-bone any transaction. So like I knew I didn't have that. So I looked for somebody that had similar values, similar principles, and they were good at what I wasn't good at, and I was good at what they weren't good at. But, picking up a partner also means you come with other stuff too. Like when we first started, this is incredibly important for anybody transitioning. We spent 2.5 weeks just coming up with who we are, what our principles were, what our values were. Like it took us 3 weeks to figure out that we wanted to serve to the best of our God-given ability, exceed expectations always, and give time and resources back to the community. It doesn't seem like much, but we talked out everything. We brainstormed, we bubbled, whiteboarded. Who do we want to be when stuff hits the fan? Like, who are we at the core?
Right.
That's why we don't talk about transactions. We don't talk about, like, deals closed and those core principles. And over the years, like, we're now in our 5th year. Like, I had one of my team members remind me of that because I got so results-oriented in year 4. That they're like, come on, Zach, that's not what's important. We serve, we give, and we exceed. And I was like, dang, thank goodness we focused on the foundation.
At the beginning.
I mean, it is so key and so crucial. You see so many people jump ship, say, all right, let me just get this going. Let me just work on this. But then you realize that they're just chasing around the next deal, the lowest hanging fruit, and they don't know who they are. Like, we've turned down opportunities because we know it goes against those 3, or it could inhibit us from doing those 3 things for our people and our clients. So I think you got to figure out your core. But yeah, you got to, if you can't do it yourself, you can't bootstrap it, you got to have somebody along with you. And that ride may make it harder or easier. But for us, fortunately, we worked it out. And after about a year and a half, we finally had momentum and we're on the same page. Because we had two different brains. So we were trying to get to the same spot different ways. So, good stuff. I've seen a lot of partnerships when I was in banking go so south.
Yeah.
And it's over the littlest things too, but that's a stick in the mud that ruins friendships and relationships. So having a partner is not something to take lightly. And if you do have a partner, make sure it's mutually beneficial, because fortunately, this didn't happen, but a lot of partnerships, when they fail, is when one person thinks that they're bringing more to the table than the other.
Person,
right.
I see it happen all the time. I mean, my portfolio, if we ever had any defaults or any terminations from small businesses, it came from the partners disputing, feeling like, well, this one just vacations or golfs or whatever. My mother-in-law is like, go golf, like go out, like you're good at that stuff. I'm like, well, I wasn't showing the houses today. She's like, I'm good at that, like so like we each cover for each other. So her doing the contract, she enjoys. Me making sure people know who we are and making sure people are taken care of. That's what I do. And so there's not like a checks and balance, they write it in the mud, like this is the equivalent of who's bringing partnership.
Yep.
Okay, so you jump ship.
Advice.
Yeah.
You're sailing. Does the idea of stability or any of that scare you ever? So earlier you said like, I'm doing well now, anything could happen.
Yeah.
Does the idea of maybe it doesn't go well one day
All the
scare
time.
you?
Oh
or
my
does
gosh.
it, or have you gone so long that now you're like, okay, I think I got this?
Oh no, the plight of a business owner is a rocky roller coaster that's on fire. Like there's no you. I mean, look, if you talk to any small business owner, whether they're telling you the truth or not, like every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, I'm shutting this thing down. Like, I'm over. Like I'm done. Like I'm out. Like I don't want to do this anymore. No, there's not a day that goes by that I don't worry about that. I mean, it was so much easier when it was just me and my mother-in-law, because it's like, all right, if this doesn't work out, she made a bigger move. Like, I'll make sure any money left over, she takes it and I'll go find something. Like, we'll be okay. But now I've got 5 other people working with me, including my mother-in-law. So it's like, if we don't make budget, it's like, I mean, my people are going to get paid always. But it's like, all right, well, will I be able to take money?
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but you get so used to this lifestyle. And as you continue to grow, you don't think it's ever going to like change. Like, we'll be down this year because the beginning of the year was hotter than Hades. Like, it was on fire. But now nobody wants to sell their house because the market's so hot that nobody wants to list their house. So the only people we have coming in are buyers, and buyers are one-sided transactions. Sellers that we work with in the community are buy and sell. So we just our first 6 months were banner record. Like, we thought we were going to be like, we're going to get a condo at the top of Mount Everest and
on top of the world.
Yeah, like rent it out for an Airbnb for the Instagram views, right? Whatever. Like, we thought we were in the clouds. And then reality hits and it's like, okay, well, we shouldn't have, spent that money here. We should have put it aside. And so, we'll be down on the year after being up like 30% early in the year. So anything could happen. But it's all going to work out. Fortunately, for us, we've been established, so we have a little cushion. We have reserves set aside. But like the new people that just started, like they're probably like, eating ramen every day and just trying to figure out where the next paycheck comes from. So it's a little different. But I have 5 people I worry about, and that's all I worry about more than anything else. Like, I don't even care about myself anymore. I'm like, holy crap, like, well, I make sure we'll consistently have enough money in the bank to make sure they can take care of their families. Like, it's a little different. They made a commitment to me, so I have to make that commitment back to them. So every single level you get to, every single year, there's a different challenge, and not one's easier than the other. Like, the first year, we lost $150,000, but we got our name out. And the second year, we made money a little bit. Third year, we actually turned a decent profit. Last year, which was our 4th year, we had our best year ever. I was able to pay off all my debts, put cash in the bank, and make sure I could give all my people the appropriate bonuses and raises that they deserved if I wasn't able to before. And this year we're down, so we've gone into some of those reserves, but next year we feel very strong about what's going to happen. So in the beginning, it was month by month. We'd close a deal, we wouldn't close anything for 2 months. We'd close 4 deals, we wouldn't close anything for 3. Now it's like, okay, we're closing deals, so we have consistent income, but is it enough to handle payroll, marketing, sales, taxes? it is so easy to lose money, y'all.
Right. Ain't it true?
we had taxes is what I didn't plan for in the last year, which is probably why it's a little harder this year versus last year. Not that we were down. That's fine. We do stress budget. I'm a banker, so I do stress budgets and not tolerance points and all that stuff. Very important to know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you're out of the business in less than 3 years. But it's just one of those things where taxes really ate my goat. Like I had to pay 50%, actually no, 100% more in taxes than I thought I was going to have to. So that was just money out the door. And I'm like, man, I should have given more away. Like. But anyway, sorry that I digressed. Good questions. But yeah, every period has a different challenge, and not one of them is easier than the others. There's large companies that you guys see it all the time that go under after being in business for 30 years because they took on too much debt or they made a couple acquisitions that didn't work out. I mean, you see it happen all the time in oil and gas. Yeah. So just because you're established doesn't mean, and no matter how big you are, doesn't mean you can't fail. I mean, shoot, look at Sears. That was the number one company in the world. And where is it at now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do the YPN professionals even listening to this even know what Sears is?
Yeah, I've never heard of Sears. So,
I mean, Sears was the Amazon.
Right.
And nobody thought that Sears would go under. So anyways, it doesn't matter big or small. I just think small businesses don't have as much capital reserves or access to debt. So there's a higher chance for them to go under quicker.
So if there's someone listening right now that is in the seat of, we kind of talked about culture of corporations, which is a hot topic in itself right now. Mm-hmm. If they were to sit back and they're like, man, I kind of want to be like Zach. I just want to jump ship. What would be the last impression you would want to leave on them?
Man, don't do it too soon. And gosh, this is so hard because I'm so, like, it's easier to say now in my seat because, like, I did it. I want, look, I was fortunate. I was so pro, like, where I was. But getting 5 years of work experience is actually why our company's successful today. And it's such an understatement now to get experience over pay. Mm-hmm. Like, we came out of college, we have debt, and you get a job that's like $35,000 starting. It's like I paid more in college tuition one semester or 1 year than I did this. Yeah. It's
exactly.
Like, well, I feel like I deserve more. It's like, okay, well, all right, let's look at the benefits here. When I was at Wood Forest, that was 5 years of me using the corporation to build my brand, my network. And yes, I made sure the company made money. Yes, we had great relations. Like, I left all things great. Like, I hit my goal whenever I resigned for the whole year. So that way I didn't leave anybody stranded or no manager in a tough position. But having those 5 years of work experience allowed me to meet people I never would have met today, which actually got me in doors that I'm working right now. And if I would have jumped ship because I was, I think I deserve more, I'm worth more, well, you're shortchanging your knowledge, whether it's operational, whether it's sales, whether it's connections, whether who HR experience, who knows what it is. Like, that really is the biggest thing I think people don't take into account, is that companies today can provide a lot of education on other people's money. When you're doing this is your money. It's not OPM. Yeah. So, like, I made a lot of failures when I was a lender at Wood Forest, but nothing that was going to, like, kill me or the bank or anything like that. But, like, those are things that I also knew, too, going in, like, all right, like, I need to be weary of this. Like, I saw this happen. Like, I tried to do this. I overextended. I overpromised, underdelivered. Simple things that you just can't get from just a book.
Right.
And those are the things I think people don't really look for now. They're so unhappy with what they're doing that they forget that there's a learning experience that is a lifetime of education at their fingertips. So that's my thing, is if you do it, like, at least do it whenever you feel like. You know what? Do it whenever you feel like. But at least try and get 5 years of work experience. Because there's a lot you learn every single year that you work your first 5 to 7 years.
I like that. Did you get your 5 years?
Oh, I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got a whole decade. That was exciting. So I probably stayed 5 years longer than I should have.
Well, my
the 5 year mark is, I totally agree with that.
I don't know. But I mean, look, if you feel like there's 18-year-olders that are listening to Gary Vee right now and 10Xing and all that stuff, and that's fine. You can do that too, but you see them make simple mistakes, or they don't understand what really matters to people yet. So it's a harder mountain to climb if you've had work experience and have people like, when I first got into it, my first deal was from one of my clients. And it was like, he was like, hey, I knew you were good at this. And now everybody else said, hey, I know you're good at this. I'm not going to trust you. He was like, hey, I want to help you out. Thanks for everything you've done, sort of deal. And man, was that a blessing. And so we finally got ours under the belt. But that came from relationships I had from my previous life. So don't underestimate your college experience. Don't underestimate your work experience. All those things accumulate into how you're going to run your business.
That's awesome. So Zach, anything else before we close out? Anything else? Any words of wisdom you want to share with our viewers?
Man, I just kind of what I said before, and it sounds so simple until you actually go through it yourself, but have that conversation with the important people around you. Make sure you have enough money because you're going to lose money. It's not going to be a break even. You're going to lose money when you first start this up. Website, cards, brand, networking, inventory, supplies, whatever it is, you're going to be negative before you even begin. And make sure that you also have that unyielding faith and conviction in yourself that you can do it, because it's not going to be an easy road. That's typically is easier stemmed if you have a strong faith. But that still doesn't make it easy even today.
Yeah.
So I've gone to church more and being a small business owner than I have in the past. So
making deals with God.
Yeah. Hey, do not underestimate. I know nobody's going to say this, but I honestly, truly believe that our business has been successful because we tithe. And I know that's crazy to say. I know it may be a little controversial and not make sense, but when you're giving for somebody else, it really does come back in return. Whether you want it or not, need it, it comes back in ways you don't even know. There's not been one time where we haven't prayed or tithed where it hasn't come when we've needed it. There's been times I wish we got it before and earlier, but you got to be strong in your faith. That's an important deal that I just will not back down off of.
Awesome, Zach. Wow, such great stuff. That was amazing.
It was.
Yeah, thanks. I don't think I've laughed so much in a while, too. So
I don't know what's funny. This was all serious.
So serious.
Yeah.
Let us pray. No.
Yeah.
No, but hey, everybody who tuned in, everybody who's here watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Just a reminder, so the YPN podcast is a bi-monthly podcast. So every other week we'll be churning out those episodes. We're really excited about coming in on this new year. We got a lot of great topics, a lot of great guests coming up. So we'll see you in the new year.
Yay.
Happy 2022, right?
Y'all stay classy.
Yeah, baby.
Thanks for having me on. Love the chamber. Join the chamber if you're not a member.
Yes, that.